Good afternoon, everybody. This is Talking Trade Live. Another week gone. This is with On the Tools, obviously. My name's Andy, going to be the host for the next half hour. And, I don't think we've done anything like this before, topic-wise. And I want everyone to jump on the comments and let's really make it a lively one, because the topic is, are trades paid fairly? And what I mean by that is it right that some decorators are on 80 quid a day and some sparks are on 6 million a day, as we know they are, because they're overpaid? And better people to join me is James up in Leeds, bricklayer, just gone to limited company, so he's obviously doing far too well. He's got to be earning fortunes. And Jason the plumber, who off air told us that his call out charge is 500 quid. So there we go. Those two are going to be playing for the beer afterwards. Anyway, let's get straight into it. What I'm going to do is go through each trade as though we're in a job, and then we're going to say yes or no. And then at the end, I think we should have a little bit of fun, get everyone to comment who's the most underpaid trade and then who's the most overpaid. So, James, I'll start with you. We've turned up on a job. Diggers are there. Ground workers, in they come. Underpaid or overpaid?
They do all right, don't they? I mean, for what they do, they just, the machine does the work for a ground worker, man. They sit still all day. They sit still and do this. What more do they want, man? They sit still and they waffle some, they move some paddles, they press some buttons to move forwards and backwards, and then there's a couple of kids down the hall that do work hard that could be worth a bit more, but them digger drivers, man, and all they do is moan. They've got a big machine to do the job, and they just whinge. They don't even want to use it half the time, man.
So technically, in your eyes, James, ground workers are probably overpaid because they moan too much, so they don't actually do a lot.
100%.
What about you, Mr. Plumber Boy, down in London there? Jason, what do you think of ground workers, mate?
I think they make enough. It's not. I know it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Yeah, they make enough. Yeah. I'll give it to them on that one. They make enough. That's fair to say. I wouldn't do it, but they make enough.
Well, ground workers are usually on a price, aren't they? So they can go straight in. If you've got their own machinery, then personally, I think they can earn a decent living. I know some ground workers, from your drainage runs, your footings, your driveways. I've known people that do quite well. And we are perfectly on to Mr. James Norton, bricklayers. Are you paid too much?
No. Bricklayer, what? You mean bricklayers get paid? I thought I'm just turning up here to build houses and just for the fun of it, man. I can't remember the last time a decent chunk landed in my bank account.
But this goes back to another thing. I think, listen, James, we did a show a few weeks ago, might have been a few months ago. I don't even know what year we're in. And it was the most skillful trade, and bricklayers was in the top 3. So are we looking at, being a skill set? And I say bricklayers, including flint work, stonework, line pointing, whatever it is. I think you guys are worth every penny, personally.
Yeah, listen, there's some cool stuff in bricklaying. There's some good opportunities. There's some fantastic people to be following on social media, Instagram, Facebook, everything. There's some top quality people that are producing some beauty work. I think there is definitely an art to bricklaying. It's so cool. Like, yeah, there's your house bashers, which, to be honest, that's mainly what I do. I like building houses, get in there, get out there, off we go, move on to the next plot. But there really is an art to bricklaying. I think bricklayers do all right. The prices are good. They're going up. The prices are good. They're only going to get better. They're not going down anytime soon. Definitely not. We're very lucky to have been able to work for the majority of obviously the current situation, so to speak. Because we're outside, we can maintain all the rules and regulations and everything like that we're reluctant to having to follow, but it is what it is. We'll not get into that. But yeah, they do all right. I think bricklayers they're paid pretty well if you work hard. If the opportunities are there, the prices are good. There's plots in front of you. There's bricks, blocks, cobble. There's plenty of stuff there for you to be doing. If a bricklayer in this day and age can't earn a quid, then it's their own fault in my eyes.
Well, I'm in total agreement. I think some of the brickwork, the flint work, and stuff. I mean, you look at the Cotswolds. When they do an extension there with that stone, and it's seamless, and you think, yeah, fair play, that's a skill. I think it's well paid. If you look at central London, 125 a metre on pointing. You've got a divvy labourer there raking out on about £3 a year, and then you're there just with a bit of muck, donging up. I mean, happy days. Jason, Do you think bricklayers? I'm going to go to the comments after what you say because there's a real punch up going on. It's great.
I don't think they're overpaid because I have one of my mates who's a bricklayer, yeah, and I know it's graft. I know it's skill to put in, and it's like you're making something what's going to stay there forever. You know, the amount of times you can drive past us and be like, yeah, I've done that, and I've done that, and that's going to stay there forever for a long time. So I could definitely see them being like, yeah, man, they should be paid a little bit more. I'll be honest with you, not too much because James seems like he's getting a lot. Yeah. Did you see the champagne? Did you see the champagne he was drinking on the live just now?
No, his butler bought that. Didn't you just see the guy with the bow tie? He's just gone. So yeah. Right.
Sometimes Bricky's payment terms are different on every single job, so the prices can be there, the money as well, the weather as well. That doesn't help us in the winter times. That's why we've really got to push for it in summer when the weather's good. We've really got to push it. This winter's hurt us, man. This past 3 weeks has been terrible. This week, luckily, the weather's picked up, but it's not been a good couple of weeks for us. But we'll make up for it in summer. And again, if you work hard and stay late for a couple of nights a week, you can easily pull it back. But yeah, it's all right. Like I say about payment terms, if you're waiting 2 and 3 weeks for your money, that's when it does feel tough on you. But then when that payment does land, it's like, I can breathe now.
Payment terms is another good topic. We'll do another show on that. I'm going to go to the comments for a bit. I think there's one I've just stopped laughing in the background. Tom McLaughlin thinks welders are underpaid. Enough of that. $4.50 for half a day down this way. Christian McNally, painters should be the highest paid because we cover up and put everything right. Every other trade's rubbish. Andrew Evgenidis, plumbers are a joke. Jason, he wants a roll around by the looks of it, mate. Eddie Aspinall, fair play. Digger drivers are lazy bastards. So he's on board with us there. Danny Westbrook, dry liners, they're being robbed. I don't know. You're only putting a bit of dab on the back of the board and hitting it with a level. It's not. Well, we'll go on to that trade in a minute. Here we go. Lee Allison. You're going to straight to the top of my Christmas card list. Sparks. So the work paid on site when you factor everything in, what we have to pay for regs and testing, and plasterer comes in and bollocks 200 quid and fucks off at 2. Listen, mate, the reason you're top of my list is because I've never heard so much rubbish in my life. Sparks, they're retired by 30. They rock up with a Rolls Royce. They got a leaf blower to blow all the 50s out of the way so they can get to the front door in the morning, and they've never used a broom. So we'll come on to you in a minute, definitely. Listen, let's go to the next one. Chippies, pitching the roof, first, second fixing, James. Do you think they're paid too much or too little?
For me, there's a few different types of joiners, isn't there? There's your site.
I don't mean sort of joiners as in cabinet makers, kitchen makers, but you know, pitching a roof, stud walls, skirts, arcs, hanging a door.
Door hangers.
Yeah.
Door hangers. You've got a spot on.
Some mates will be watching this that are ready to cave my head in, but yeah, them door hangers, they're on a. Well, again, if you're self-employed and you're good at what you do, you can charge what you want, can't you? Especially with joiners. If you're a good joiner, you can earn a lot. If you're crap, you're gonna do one job and you're not gonna get much more work. But joiners, it's hard to say. For what they do, they need a lot of tools, don't they? They've got to lug a lot of crap about site. They come with a suitcase, don't the joiners? Are they
do love a tool, the chippies, don't they? And you know the ones that are doing well because they turn up with Festool and Maffle. That's all brand new gear, and you know they give it a nice polish the night before because they want it to look clean and tidy. Jason, do you think chippies are generally paid a bit much or not enough?
Do you know what it is? I would say that they're paid reasonable because they could be on different. I've been with them on different sites and stuff like that, and a lot of them are very. I found a few of them come across. They're very meticulous about their stuff. Like they'll be like, it wouldn't. You couldn't say how long are you going to take to do that, mate. You'd be like, hold on. I'm not really sure. 1 second, I've got to get the skirt in. Then I've got to get this. Then I've got. Hold on. I just asked you how long. And I get it with them because it's a aesthetic thing. So therefore, like when they're looking back at their work, they are taking a little bit more look because that is kind of a key feature to most places when you come in. You are going to see that, and I do get that. But they're just paid all right. I don't think we don't want them.
It must be a nightmare for all chippies mothers when they come into the world because they've always got they're stuck when they're born. They've got this pencil, haven't they? Stuck to the side of their head. The poor mothers are chipping. Crikey! Right, going back to the comments, because Grant Favell has made the most sensible comment. Biggest problem is contractors screwing the subbies out of their entire paychecks. That is a huge problem. It's also, as James said earlier, when you're waiting 28 days or 3 months, you know, the whole Carillion fallout, that's one of the reasons. And I personally believe anything more than a couple of weeks is bollocks, because we all need to be paid for the work. Few other comments. Philip Barnes, hard work, bro. Living here. We're blessed, says Alan Clark. Dave Sheftick, union labourer. After bills, I can still afford to eat twice a week. Good lad. That's important. Nicky Ashton, landscaper. Oh, God, hang on, he's gone. There's so many comments coming in. Apologies if I don't read them out. I've actually lost him. So apologies. Right, let's move on on the build. So we've got the roof on. It now needs felt battening and tiling. So roofers, James, they're obviously, well, they're a law unto themselves. What they do up there all day, every day is beyond me. Hey,
Roofing. Are we calling roofing a trade?
excellent. Let's move on. Scaffolding. Scaffolding, Jason, what do you reckon? That scaffolders earn good coin.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, scaffolders are going to be known for two things: whistling at birds, yeah, and shouting stuff down. Can you get that, mate? That's all you can hear. They've got the loudest voices, and can you get that? And the fastest that I see some of them moving is when they're taking the scaffold down. You never seen them nuts go so quick. The way they're just throwing them off and throwing them into the van, getting ready to go to the next place. I think they have to do a bit of graft, but I think for the period of their working, it's not. Remember, they go and set up, then go and set up, and then go to another. It's not so much graft. Do you get what I mean? So, we could take away a little bit of money from them, wouldn't hurt them. You know what I mean?
Well, Gavin March says roofers are underpaid. One, fall your brown bread. Easy there, mate. Don't fall. Rick Anstovsky, I think. Apologies if I got your name wrong. I'm fully kitted with Festool, so when the track's fully loaded, it's carrying 10 grand plus. Benefit is we don't pay annual training fee. Well, if you got a Festool, mate, you obviously do it well. So good lad.
Right.
Giles Greenaway built a house a few years ago. A lot of the guys wanted or got a grand a week, sometimes a grand in the hand. Giles, if you're doing another house, let me know on Instagram. I'll be there in a flash for that sort of dough. We got Steve Boyce, timber framers, because they can earn good money. What do you think, James? Because if you look at a lot of those firms, they're not cheap, but it's a skillful trade.
Yeah, it is skillful. I mean, this is a difficult topic because I think you can only really comment on if they are paid enough or if they're not paid enough. If you've actually either done that job or at least spent a couple of days with someone doing that job to just see what actually does go into it. Because we're all right sitting here slagging everyone. Like everyone has a laugh about electricians and plumbers and what have you and stuff like that. But for what I don't know myself. I've never done electrics. I don't touch it. Plumbing, stuff like that. I've not done them stuff. So I can't really comment on stuff like that. I feel I will do. It's gonna have a laugh and I like winding people up, but.
Well, I'm in a good position to comment because my firm, we do extensions and refurbs, so I'm there from the minute the ground workers turn up all the way through to decorate finishes.
Like I've rarely seen timber frames. We've got a couple on this site to build, but other than that, I've not had much experience with timber frame.
Well, if we move inside now, the roof's on. Hopefully the roof has not fallen off. Let's go on to in my eyes, the most overpaid trade. Now, I don't even have to mention it. It begins with E or S for slang. Mr. London Plumber, why is Sparks paid so bloody much, mate?
I feel that they just think they've got a real part to play when it comes to the house, like the lights and the things like that. And I just think that, look, their job is getting a little bit more technical, yeah? But let's be honest, most of it is plug and play and it's in for you. But they want to talk to you so much about it, have that cup of tea, run over all the stuffs and all the all the issues and stuff like that. So I think they just wind their time up really, because I get what they do. It is important. We do need electric inside anywhere where we are, and power supplies and whatever like that. And it's all getting more digital nowadays. I get that, but half of the time they're not even doing much. I can't be honest, like, because if I was a Sparky, I'd be banging it out, but I'm not.
The Sparkies get. I think they could at least buy themselves a sweeping brush, because not one of them knows how.
They're allergic to them. They're allergic. They can't touch brooms. They come out in a funny rash. They start wobbling, sweating, shaking. Brooms and sparks don't exist. You see these funny videos on the tools and whatnot, with sparks sweeping up. It's not a spark. They've just put someone else's clothes on. I'd love to see a spark clean up. I tell you what, anyone watching, send a comment in if you've worked with or you are working with a spark. I'm trying to see if I've got a broom in the front of the van. I haven't. But it's actually used a broom, because it's a myth. It's a bit like the Yeti. I don't think they exist. Connor Stork has made a very valid point. James, you said this earlier. You make your money working hard. I think the only way you can really be in full control of what you earn is to go self-employed. James, as we said earlier, is now limited. So you can set your salary and then you bring the rest in dividends, unless COVID goes on, because then unfortunately you don't get a top up from the government. Jordan D says, my man offered Instagram, can't like reporting more. Good to see you though. That's my Instagram there, mate. Andy Stevens TV. Jump on it, because I do a lot with the charity bill that I've got coming up. The other filming stuff, take the piss out of Sparks. That's quite good fun, actually. Right, let's go on to plumbers, Mr. Plumber. Are you paid enough?
Hold on. No, well, I just want to say something before Jay says anything about this. Yeah, listen, one sec, mate. Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, you see plumbing. Yeah, you're working with one of the elements of the world. Yeah, just before you start going on about working with water. You see the water in the ocean when you're going on holiday. Yeah, dealing with that in your ass. Go on, Jay. I'll let you get with this one first, because I don't want to.
Listen, I'm intrigued.
The thing
basically,
is, Jason, let me just explain. You've obviously got you've got two very different types of plumbers. You've got your residential ones that just run a few pipes, a few push fits, and maybe hang a rad. But then you've got your gas engineers, and then your more commercial stuff. The ones that run pipes, especially these days with push fit, listen, I can do that. But I think gas safe, connecting the boiler, putting it on the wall, doing all the manifold stuff for underfloor heating, and then your big commercial stuff. That's a different skill set, isn't it?
100%. You got stay-at-home dads that start to do that type of stuff and say to themselves, "Oh, I just want to put something in the garage, a little tap down there," and they could do it themselves. And I get it. We are going to have an fluctuation of people to do that, because at the time people are starting to think about money and starting to think. There's so many how-to-do videos online. People are watching them saying, if I go to the shop with my phone, I can show the guy this. Can you get me this one, that one, and that? And they can work it. Some of them, they can work it out for themselves. But more of the technical stuff, it requires the skill set. It requires the training. It requires to be able to go through the process of elimination and finding out. It's like, let's say like most plumbers that do like site work here, they ain't going to do call-outs because they go to someone's house, never been there before.
Yeah.
And that's a big portion, because there's lots of plumbers which work on site that don't go to people's houses because never seen that sink before, baby. Yeah. And if they look underneath there, where's the thing? Don't it go to? And they'll look, and that's to do with a sense of confidence and experience as well, because some of the things that you come across, if you're working on one particular type of thing, you're not really going to see a lot. It's like reading one testimony of the Bible, isn't it? You don't know what the third one's saying.
Just want to jump onto a very valid point before it flies off the bottom of the screen. Glyn Thorne, listen, mate, I don't know if you've watched many of the shows, but this is something I've been going on for a long time and previously elsewhere. Why don't you guys push for proper licensing like in Australia and the USA? And another one's Germany. They've got a brilliant system there. And lots of other countries, rather than be a bunch of old women. You've hit the nail on the head. The frustrating thing with this, we've got so little people coming into the industry because of many reasons, but tomorrow morning, my neighbour who's just taken her two little kids in, she could rock up and be any trade she wants because we're not licensed. So I'm total agreement, and that would sort all the wages out of big time as well. Right, a few other comments. Let's have a look. How do I do a flying comment? Damien Tahura. I don't know what a flying comment is, mate. But give it a bash. James Snowden says he's currently sat on his arse on site watching this shite. Well, you can go back to work, mate. A lot easier than watching this if you're not enjoying it. Connor Daly, scaffs are underpaid. Interesting. I think another thing, let's move on to spread, because I'm just conscious 20 minutes gone and we've just got to finish off. James, the old mudslingers, do you think they're paid enough?
Mudslingers. You're gonna have to give me a clue. I don't know what you're talking.
Oh, sorry, spreads, plasterers.
Oh, right, that makes sense. Yeah, plasterers. No, to be honest, I think plasterers underpaid. If I'm quite honest with you, I think it's hard graft. It's very messy. It's very fiddly, and you've got to get it A1 perfect, because if you don't, then it's just it's so easy to get yourself a bad name in plastering. Really, really easy. And for what they do, for what they put up with, and for the finish that they've got to get a good name and to get themselves out there, is I take my hat off to a lot of plasterers who struggle with that. So yeah, my opinion is plasterers are underpaid.
I forgot landscapers being outside. I know it's kind of towards, once everyone's inside the other trades. London plumber, landscapers. I think they can earn good money, because it really is just laying a few slabs and pointing up a bit of brickwork, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say, look, landscapers. Look, I don't think with the technology what they've got nowadays and all that, yeah, they can just come out there, take the measurements, and they work out what type of bricks which will make them use as less work as possible. They're going to lay the biggest ones possible. No one's not stupid, you know what I mean? But there is some skill to it. But like I said, let's just all work down from the people who are the highest skilled. I'm not saying plumbers are, but I'm saying, like, let's just work with the rest of us. Do you know what I mean? Work with the rest of the people that work with the elements of the earth, which we cannot walk away from, and just work with the rest of the people, because everyone has to get their glory at the end of the day. I think they do deserve something, but it's just how technical some people are with what they do. Because
let's go on to the the rare trades that we don't always mention and talk about. Thatchers. There's not many left. James, do you think that's a dying trade, mate? Thatchers, thatch roofs. There's not many left, are there?
Not many left. What? Thatch roofs, like, I don't even think anyone my age or younger knows what a thatched roof is. Never mind knowing that it's a trade or not, or even worse, how they're paid. Like, thatched roof, like, no.
Because there's a percentage of properties that are in conservation areas or whatever that have got to be maintained. So I think
because of the rarity of it, because of how rare it is and how, it's alien to want to even get into them. And because if it is, like you say, in a conservation area, a listed building or which needs a new thatched roof, then that might be something.
I think it's a great skill, thatching. I think, if you're getting into it, you're going to do well, because there's very few left. Darren Waldron, this is going to start a few comments coming in. People who get paid too much for no responsibility are attackers. So, Jason, do we think the old, what they do, chuck up a bit of plasterboard? Are they paid too much? Because, you see the state, don't you, sometimes?
I wouldn't say so, because, I was working with a guy and he had a dolphin tattoo on his arm, just there. Just called him Big Dolphin. And the boards he used to bring up with the grafting, he was putting in the hours, and he wasn't moaning about it. I can't remember how many boards he'd done a day, but it was when he told me after a day, I said, you know what it is? You graft, mate. So no, most definitely you should earn a little bit more money, because I think in some people's jobs, they can't stand still and say that they've done a lot of work, if you get what I mean. You have to show it by your work, what you're doing, and that you can't really hide. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you go with a soundboard, what is it, 54, 55 kilos? It's suddenly getting quite heavy. So, it's a lot different to the normal bit of, half-inch square edge. Floor layers, James. I'm talking carpets, vinyl, that sort of thing. There's a couple of people on here who's just asked. Phil Atco, the latest one. Are floor layers underlaid? I don't know if that was an attempt at a joke or if it was a typo. Let's go with, are they underpaid? Cheers, Phil.
It was an innuendo.
Nah.
I think floor laying, if you're good at it, you can earn good money. If you get your liquid screed down and get on it in the same day in the afternoon, you can be in and out and earn good coin.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how far do you want to take floor laying? Like floor laying, because tilers could in a way be called floor layers, and they're definitely,
We forgot the dabbers, didn't we?
Didn't it?
Tiling. That's another one. Again,
Yeah.
I think if you look at that, if you do it on a fixed price, I mean, it goes back to everything that we said on the show before. It's your prep work. If you've got everything, if you've had a decent spreading that's spread up your walls, everything's level and plumb, and you've got some decent tiles, you can earn good money. If you're in a Victorian house with everything pissed as a fart, and you've got cheap and cheerful tiles that are all a different size, that's when skill comes in.
I think it's the same as plastering. I think that goes back to how plasterers are, because plasterers can only turn up with what's in front of them, and they've got to make it good. Same with tilers. They can turn up with, as Andy just said, or whatever comes in front of them, and they've got to do a good job, because tiling, again, it's so minimal, the margin of error. Any little discrepancy in tiling, it shows up like a sore thumb. So again, for tiling, same as plastering, I think they should be on a couple more quid.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm just reading some of the comments come in and agreeing about the prep. Can you imagine having a trade that just does the prep work for each trade? So let's say a spread. He's clearing all the crap off the walls. He's PVAing it. He's doing all the scrimming on the plasterboard. He's getting it ready. And then for the tilers, he's bringing out the walls where he needs to. He's getting things level. Is that a new trade, do you think we could introduce, Jason? Or, because I'm just thinking as a spread, if it was ready for me to just put a hit on, I'd be laughing.
That sounds like a young boy, basically, an apprentice or someone. But it sounds like someone that you don't want to tell them what we're doing today. But yeah, I think that could be necessary, because I've been on new builds and plots, and we used to have to go and get the stuff ourselves on price, and they had a system where they had guys who would go and get the stuff for you. That saved so much time. Even though I was working in a pair, the work we was able to do, instead of doing one flat a day, we're doing two and a bit. Stay a little bit later and get him to come up, because we ain't running up and down the stairs. So yeah, definitely.
We're coming to the end of the job. The customer's going mad. She's not making tea anymore. The decorators rock up. They leave their cans of Stella in the van. Now, listen, I appreciate that they've got to clear up a lot of crap and make the house or the flat or whatever they're working in look good. And there is a lot of skill in that. Decorators always say they're underpaid, always say they're the most skillful. James, what do you reckon on decorators, my friend?
If you got, well, again, I've got mates that are going to be watching this that are going to.
That's why I'm putting you on the spot, mate.
Look, if you're a company, in any company, in any business, if you've got overheads, you've got to cover them overheads before your lads make a wage, before you even make a wage. Because I've got a couple of mates who are painters, I've got a couple of mates who are painting and decorating companies, and the prices they're dependent on what kind of position you're in yourself. So again, only experience I've had is with self-employed people. So they just make the rates, they charge what they want. They especially if you're a company, you can charge a lot of money, but the actual painting and painters themselves, they get what they're worth, don't they? Really, with respect, anyone can paint a wall, anyone can chuck a bit of paint on a wall, and any monkey could do that. Painters they don't deserve any more than they get, I'm afraid.
So if you're anywhere in the Leeds area, James Morton is a bricklayer and says that all decks are rubbish. So you can go and find him. But no, listen, just to reinforce, this is all a bit of fun. Listen, all trades are skilled. I personally don't think anyone is paid enough unless you're a spark. So let's finish the show off. Everybody on comments, I'll ask James and Jason, please send a comment in now. Who is the most overpaid trade? James?
Can you put sparkies and plumbers in the same sentence?
No.
Yeah, they're kind of together. They're always overpaid anyway, in my view. Let's ask the plumber himself. Who's the most overpaid?
I'm going to say the Sparky, and that's not a bias thing. Like I told you before, I've got a perfect reason why. Is because one of the elements of the earth, we can get electricians. They're doing a lot. They've been our main rivalry, which I don't know why, because no one even makes like fantasy movies even about electricians. It's all about plumbers. Do you realise that?
I tell you what, mate, I'd love to see your Google history on the films you watch. It certainly sounds like it's not James Bond. Right.
Spicy.
Looking at the comments coming in, electricians, Sparkies and plumbers, chippies overpaid. I think we can safely say, Sparkies all day long. Right. So most overpaid for our little bit of fun today is Sparks. And can we please have comments on the most underpaid? So, Mr. Bricklayer, which trade doesn't get paid enough? Who's the least underpaid or the most underpaid?
I've got to say plasterers. Plasterers put it in, man. They put work in, and they get very little reward for what they do and what they put up with. They're, like I said, their room for error is so small, and if they do make one tiny little mistake or one tiny little, like they could finish what they're doing, they could brush past it and not even know they've brushed past it, and that's it. It shows. So yeah, for me, definitely Sparkies. No, not Sparkies.
He's got you on the mind.
No.
He's actually supposed to stitch you up. Any reason?
So let's hear a plumber's thought. Who's the most underpaid? Who deserves more money?
I would agree with what James said. Because what it is. You don't get to see their work because they do get to get covered up, and they have to come in when things are quite raw. So they're there at the raw point of the project, which is very important, obviously, isn't it? And making sure that everything is right at that point to move forward. You couldn't hang any radiators on the wall. You couldn't do none of that stuff if things are not right from that point. So yeah, I say that because maybe they're the unsung heroes, as they would like to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't really get spoken about. People don't really buy them a drink at the bar and all that. It's big lads. Big wigs.
Looking at the comments, I think it's almost an even split on the most underpaid between spreads and decorators, which I'll agree. You see the state of a job before spreads and decorators get in. It is just a mess. It's bare walls. It's not great. So I think, yeah. Oh, hang on. Neil Allen. Great comment here. Andy, the customers just made me soup. Now, Neil, you got a lovely picture, I guess, that looks like the other half or daughter. I can't see, it's too small. But having a customer make you soup, mate. I tell you what, in my day, that was do you fancy some overtime? But we're getting a bit carried away here. That's after Jason's comments on his funny movies that he watches. So thanks for watching, everybody. The show's flown by. Sparks, you paid too much, and spreads and decks, you aren't paid enough because you make the job look pretty when all of us lot have gone home. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back again same time next week. This is a podcast that will be available on Monday. I've got a podcast called Build It, which comes out on Sunday. It's worth a listen. It's similar to this show. Basically, I'm lifting the lid on kitchens this Sunday, and the difference between 100 grand and 10 grand, which everybody watching knows is absolutely nothing. It's still made of the same thing. So have a great week all. The sun's out, so I'm going to go and do some graft for once. Toodaloo.